The US Secretary of State arrived in the region on his mission to force Israel to withdraw and the Palestinians to stop suicide attacks. He went straight to Prime Minister Sharon.
I said, I hope you've noticed what the president said. It's time for you to start backing off.
אריק, כך גם אנחנו הצגנו בעצם את המצב לאשרו, כלומר את האסקלציה שתופסת בשטחים, וניסינו להסביר שהכוונתו בניווטו בסיוע ובמימונו של יאסר ערפאת.
Prime Minister Sharon said he knows the president's concern, but that he had an obligation to defend Israelis.
אל תלחצו על ישראל. ישראל צריכה להיות מסוגלת להגן על עצמה. אל תפגעו ביכולת ההרתעה של ישראל.
Secretary Powell left for his hotel in Jerusalem in no doubt that the invasion would last as long as Sharon deemed necessary. And the Palestinian resistance was proving difficult to subdue, especially in Jenin.
يعني تتنقل عبر الاتصالات. كنت اتنقل عبر الاتصالات، احكي على التليفون، حددوا له موقع الجيش وين، يحددوا لي بالمطرح الفلاني والمطرح الفلاني، اللي هي خلينا نقول مبدأ اضرب واهرب.
The Israeli soldiers forced their way into the narrow streets of the town. But they could not capture the main square. After 13 reservists were killed in a Palestinian ambush, Ariel Sharon came to Jenin himself. His army began to flatten the town center.
אבל במרכזי הטרור העיקריים, ואתם נמצאים אולי במוקד הטרור הקשה ביותר. פה אנחנו לא מתכוונים לזוז מהמקום הזה עד שהמלאכה תושלם. פה אסור לעזוב שום גרעין של טרור.
My message for the whole international community, they have to come and to see the big crimes which have been done every place all over Palestine, especially in Leningrad, not Stalingrad, Leningrad.
As the bulldozers continued their work, the US Secretary of State arrived at Arafat's besieged headquarters.
He said to Chairman Arafat that we were going to be right back in the soup again unless he now used his position within the Palestinian community to speak out against terror.
Arafat said to him, general to general, I'm a general, you're a general. How can I stop suicide bombers when they're destroying the same authority that you want me to stop suicide bombers with?
I said to him, I know the Israelis have destroyed some of your facilities, but you still have influence and authority. It doesn't come just from police cars, it comes from who you are and the position you occupy within the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian community. And that's what we're looking for you to use.
Arafat tried to show that these suicide attacks might be, some of them, planned, organized by the Israeli intelligence. Powell was not so pleased with that.
I said to him, I'm not sure that I can come see you anymore. I'm not sure that we can keep up a relationship because there's nothing coming out of it.
Powell said, in order to explain to Arafat, look, I might be your last friend in Washington.
Nobody else in Washington spoke to him at a senior level. He wasn't getting phone calls from the president or the vice president or Mr. Rumsfeld or anyone else or from Dr. Rice. I was it.
But the Palestinian leader remained defiant.
I have to ask the whole international world. I have to ask His Excellency President Bush. I have to ask the United Nations. Is this acceptable? That I can't go outside from the door? Is this acceptable?
Back in Washington, opposition was mounting to the Secretary of State's attempts to talk peace with Arafat. American Friends of Israel organized a huge rally on Capitol Hill.
Yasser Arafat is the quintessential terrorist. Both his means and his goals are illegitimate. Arafat pursues a goal of policide, the destruction of a state, by employing the means of suicide.
Those opposed to Powell's mission seized their chance. They told the president that the Secretary of State was going too far. The National Security Advisor called Powell's deputy.
Dr. Rice called me one day, worried that the Secretary might be announcing some sort of international conference.
Condi said that Vice President's office and Secretary Rumsfeld were strongly opposed to it. She also said that the administration was taking a good deal of political heat over this issue from parts of the pro-Israel community.
Then I called the Secretary to tell him, and he exploded at me.
I said that I had to leave something in the region. I couldn't come and spend that amount of time without leaving something.
I used a very colloquial U.S. military expression that, and forgive me, that they were putting his shit in the street and eating cheese on him.
Powell got the message. He had no choice but to gloss over the failure of his mission.
A number of the leaders with whom I have spoken have expressed interest in convening a conference on the Middle East. I will be discussing this idea with President Bush and leaders in the international community upon my return to Washington.
That was as close as Secretary Powell ever got to his peace conference.